Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Speaking of Zane, June the 20th, 2021. It's our 149th session, believe it or not, of Speaking of Zane. Tonight is, and happy Father's Day, all of you fathers and everyone that has a father. And I sure do, and I feel like I've known him my whole life. And a good guy indeed, a guy, pun intended. But hey, I would love to hear in the comments as we go through tonight something you remember about your dad, or something funny, something goofy, something special about your dad. I would just love for everybody to share something about their dad. And well, I have so many memories of my dad being a Marine my entire life. He was a Marine after I left and went into the Air Force still. So I only knew him right up, my entire childhood as a Marine. And just, it was an interesting experience for sure, being the son of a Marine, living on Navy and Marine Corps bases and traveling around. And I wouldn't change a minute of it. I think I'm more well-rounded because of it, and certainly made a lot of friends, and was exposed to a lot of different things as a child, maybe that some others weren't. We did miss a lot of things, of course. Not being near our relatives, our extended family, and but that made it even sweeter when we were able to get together. Um, so on the balance, I feel blessed to have had the childhood that I had, and an awesome father for sure. Well, let me see who's here. You guys followed the instructions very well, and you always put something in the chat, so I'll know you're there. Ken is there down near, or actually not near Orlando. Ken's over on the coast until they get their house built. Ken's in there. Good to have you back. We missed you last week, Ken, but we know what you were doing. We talked about you. Thank you for the reports and the visits at Arlington, and just a special time. I know you guys were celebrating the life of your dear mother, and it looked like a wonderful time that you all had there. So welcome back. Good to have you. Good to have you back, and I appreciate chatting with you every now and then during the week. Steve Shirley's in there. Hey, Steve. Boy, we're so glad that you are back, Steve. We were worried about you last week. You and Kathy, your car got clobbered by that tree over in Minnesota, but good to have you back in there. Toby is in there, my cousin down in South Georgia. Matt Aaron is home. Matt, welcome home from drill, or whatever the guard calls it there. I guess you were doing your couple of weeks, but good to have you home, and thank you for your continued service. I know Katie and the girls are glad to have you home. Lori's in there just down the hallway. Lori is recovering very nicely, I might add, from surgery to her right thumb. And she has the same condition in both hands. And I guess it's some arthritic derivative of some kind, but tried everything over the last couple of years that the doctor had prescribed from a regimen perspective, um, except for surgery, and everything else they prescribed, um, therapy and other things, did not do the trick. So Lori went in on Tuesday, I guess it was, and had a little outpatient surgery, and from what I understand, they actually removed a section of the bone here that was causing the problems that she was having, and they gave her a nerve block. Evidently they deadened the nerve up here at the top of the arm, and her arm was numb for 3 full days. She didn't feel her arm at all, and but she made it home okay, and she's seems to be recovering nicely, managing the pain very well, and she goes to therapy. She's been to one therapy already. I think she does that 1 day a week or something. But she is ready for it to heal up because that means that she can go get the other one done. So anyway, I think everything is going well there. There's Daryl in there, my buddy up near St. Louis. Jane Grismer down near Savannah's in there. Jane, good to have you again tonight. There's my dad. Speaking of fathers, there's my dad down in Fitzgerald, Georgia. My dad's dad, Joe McDonald, I never had the opportunity to meet. My dad's dad passed away. I think he was at the age of 44 or so when my dad was but 11 or 12 years old. And so we never got to meet my grandfather, Joe McDonald. Jim Miller's in there. Hey, Jim Miller up near Omaha. Jim's dad was an Army vet and a carpenter. All right. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, Lori did not know her biological father, but Lori's mother married Stan Smith not too long after Lori and I got married, and Stan has really become the patriarch of that family. Stan has really become the father that they all never really had over these last 30 some years. But all right, anybody else wants to put anything in there about your father on this Father's Day? Let's see. Matt says, my dad drove a tow truck my whole life, still does. Wow. When I was in high school, I had a car that I couldn't fill more than halfway. I used to steal his cans off his truck to fill my car. He never once questioned me. All right. It's funny the things you remember about your dad. Steve says the car was totaled, but I'm glad that he and Kathy were not. So, Steve, hopefully you guys can get your transportation squared away. Maybe you already have. Hopefully they acted pretty quickly and you guys are in good shape. Some idiot decided to make Matt a platoon sergeant. Okay. All right. Well, congratulations, Matt. Katie Aaron's in there. Speaking of Aaron's. All right. Let's see. Daryl says, my parents divorced when I was 4 months old. Wow. I didn't really know him until I was 24. Only had a short relationship with him as he passed 6 years later. Amazing. Hello, Aunt Paula. How are you down in the Tampa metro? I assume you're I never know because you travel a bit, but good to have you in there, Aunt Paula, for sure. Brenda Lusk is in there from up in Michigan. All right. Well, happy Father's Day, everybody. If anybody else has any memories or anything they want to share about their dad, feel free to put it in there. If you want to talk to the group, I can pull you in on video. If you wanted to do that, let me know. Ken says his dad was a sergeant major in the Army Air Corps during World War II, went to officer candidate school in Miami, transferred to the Air Force in late 47, went on to retire as a lieutenant colonel, passed away in 2015, just 6 weeks shy of turning 98. Wow. I knew he was old, Ken, having been, at Pearl Harbor, survived. But I never made the connection that he was 98. That's a very full life indeed. Indeed. And Ken's father is buried there at Arlington National Cemetery, where his mother was recently interred. There's my Aunt Mary down near Ocilla, Georgia. My Aunt Paula says her dad was a heavy equipment operator. Each time I see a big Caterpillar, it reminds me of him. Wow, how about that? That's incredible. I was my Aunt Cindy, who often joins us here. I don't know if Aunt Cindy's in here tonight, but her father um, was O.J. Pittman. O.J. Pittman, my my mother's grandfather, and consequently my great grandfather. And we, over the course of our childhood, we got to visit them fairly regular, and got to spend some time with them. And I just remember Grandma Pittman and Granddaddy Pittman, O.J., very fondly as a little boy. Katie says her dad grew up in Brooklyn, New York. Caused so much trouble he joined the Navy real quick before he was due in court. Avoided some good old jail time that way and caused heck in the Navy, as you would expect. Wow, how about that, Katie? That's something I didn't know about you. Good stuff. All right, let's see here. What do we got today? Um, I was going to ask my sister if she's in here. My dad's in here. He may know if Uncle Bob indeed is out of the hospital now. Um, we talked about him the last couple of weeks. My Uncle Bob, my dad's big brother, he's 83 or 84 now, and he's been in the hospital. But last week when we had Speaking of Zane, it sounded like um, he would be going home this week, or maybe going to his daughter's house or something. But all right, let's see. Okay, Lori has an update for me. Okay. All right, so let's see what we got. What is the hat of the week? What is the hat of the week? Boy, I forgot all about the hat of the week today, and there was nothing obvious this week, and I got to thinking about um, the College World Series, which started yesterday, and it's kind of related to the military. If you have ever been stationed at Offutt Air Force Base, or if you've ever lived in Omaha, Nebraska, you have been to the College World Series. It has been a staple in Omaha, Nebraska since what, guys? The 40s? That's been a long time. And it continues to this day, although they've moved to a new venue. And I remember my very first College World Series game. Um, boy, I can't remember who was playing, but I've had many others since then living there and going. I remember one time my dad came up to visit. Dad, I don't remember. I think Mom was with you, but Dad came up to visit, and Georgia Tech happened to be in the College World Series that year. We went to a game with Georgia. I think Georgia and Georgia Tech may have been in it that year. I can't recall. I do remember Jason Veritek was playing, and what's the other Georgia Tech guy? Anyway, um, now I had not been to a College World Series game for quite some time after we moved from there in late '99, but I did go back a couple years ago with work, and because one of my clients is in Omaha, and made it to College World Series game. So for that reason, the this College World Series hat is the hat of the week, and hope to get back up there for another College World Series game someday. We'll see. But it's always been just a staple in Omaha and a wonderful time of year. Awesome event. Faux show. All right, let's see. Okay, Dad's giving us an update here. He says he's at Kathy's. Sharon and I went and visited him yesterday. Okay, good. And my cousin Joyce was there. Well, thank you for that update. See, Jim said they used to live south of Austin. We'd go by Barksdale Air Force Base and occasionally stop and watch the B-52s. You think that may have influenced my decision to join the Air Force? I think maybe just a little bit, Jimbo. Yeah, Lori says the College World Series, the zoo, the Henry Dorley Zoo, a world renowned Henry Dorley Zoo, right next to where the College World Series used to be played there at Rosenblatt Stadium. Cornhusker football, yep, absolutely. Nebraska, good old Nebraska. All right, let's move on. I tell you what, I didn't take the time today to pull any military history. So if anybody knows of any significant military historical events or dates and want to put them in the chat, go right ahead and do that because I totally blew that off this week. But I will move on to the Veteran Cemetery Challenge. We had several visits this week. I know Daryl made a visit this week, and Daryl, of course, Daryl's wife Wanda is buried there, but Daryl also had the occasion of his aunt's birthday, I believe it was. So he got a visit in there to his aunt and to Wanda. And Daryl had a very interesting encounter with the husband of a lady who was buried just a couple of spaces away from Wanda. And what are the odds that they're both there at the same time? And they had a nice interaction. And Daryl posted that in the Speaking of Zane Facebook group. You can go read that yourself if you like. But great job, Daryl. It sounded like that lifted your spirits, and that's a good thing. All right, let's see. Ken, of course, was at Arlington again on Monday and laid his mother to rest there at Arlington. I did see in the news also, Ken, that Arlington is officially reopened to the general public now after having been closed down for the COVID. But it looks like they're back to their normal posture, which is great, which is absolutely great. Let's see. I made a visit to Georgia National today. I thought I was going to get rained on, but it was supposed to be raining all day today, but it was a mixture, cloudy, sunny and cloudy, humid, hot and humid. But I made a visit out there to see Zane, spend a little time out there. There were a lot of people out there visiting their fathers. I only can assume more than the usual weekend, but not as much as some holidays. But there were quite a few out there, and it was a good day out there. I had a I had an interesting encounter as well from a man called Marion, and he was his wife is buried just maybe 20 feet away from Zane, and elderly man, and he had to walk past me as he was leaving. He was tending to his wife's headstone and put some flowers and I saw him over there, and he came to walk past me, and he stopped and said, "Is that your father?" And I guess he assumed because it was Father's Day, and I told him, "No, it's my son." And he says, "Oh," and he looked a lot closer, and he said, "Oh, was he killed in Iraq?" And I said, "No, sir." I said, "He's one of those that passed after coming home." And he looked me in the eyes, and he said, "Well, that's a damn shame. God bless you, son." And anyway, just he was an Air Force vet, and I got a chance to say thank you to him. Marion was his name, and his wife is named Dorothy. That's two good names right there from that era. Dorothy was born, I think, in 20 something. So that tells you about how old Marion was, but he was getting around good and driving, and 29. So, but anyway, just sometimes you have these interesting encounters there. So Daryl, when that happened to me, I immediately thought of you, and now I'll never be able to go out there without looking over and checking on Dorothy. It's crazy, but anyway, yep, good visit there. And his coin, his coin from the carry the load coin was still there from when Lori went out there and walked, and just interesting. And I have another amazing story of something that was left there. I'm gonna try to read it here in a minute, or I'm gonna try to tell you about it here in a minute. So with Daryl's visit, Ken's visit, Guy's visit, that give us 3 visits for the week that I know of, which takes our count to 432. 432 visits to 134 different cemeteries. Not too shabby. All right, let's see. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything in the chat here. Ken says this week in military history. We did cover that. Yeah, we did, Ken, last week because the Army birthday was on the 14th, I believe, as was Flag Day. So we talked about that last week. All right, let's see. So Thank a Vet Challenge. We had a few thank yous, maybe some others that I'm not aware of, but the ones that I know that you let me know about or that I saw in the Speaking of Zane Facebook group. Well, a couple. I thanked a Marine at the Kroger yesterday. He was wearing a Marine Corps hat, and we had the little unspoken salutation there, and that was good. And then I mentioned Marion, the Air Force vet at Georgia National today, and then let's see, Ken and Janet had a garage sale for her mother, I believe, and there was Ken said they got to thank 2 Army vets and an Air Force vet. How about that? And I think the Air Force vet, Ken, help me if I get this wrong, had a B-52 affiliation, so that's always cool. SAC. And let's see, Daryl thanked a women. What was she, a Women Air Corps? Daryl thanked a lady at the store yesterday, I think it was. And then I mentioned Daryl. Daryl thanked this gentleman whose wife is buried just a couple of plots away from Wanda. His name is Dave Penrod. Dave Penrod. Turns out Dave spent some time in the Army and the Navy. I wonder who he roots for when when Army plays Navy every year. I wonder who he roots for. But thank you for sharing that with us, Daryl. That was interesting, an interesting encounter you had there. So if I add up the ones that I know about, we had 7 new thank yous this week, and that takes our total to 863. 863. I think we've got a shot at getting to 1,000 before the summer's out. Should be doable. Got about 140 to do, and we do pretty good. We'll see how we do. But thank you all for doing that with us. I tell you that I think it's a lot of fun, and man. I got a couple of thank yous this week from somebody. Where was that at? Where was I at? I forget even where I was at. Some young man, teenager, told me thank you, and I'm like, wow, that's all right. That's all right. All right. Well, how about organizations? We talked about a couple last week. The only thing new I have to talk. Well, um, one organization I'll keep mentioning until we actually do the race, but the Running to Honor 5K that is actually run physically up in Michigan. Our friend Aaron Bartle up there leads that effort, and we ran it last year virtually down here. We're going to do it again, Lori and I. We're going to walk, not run, but July the 31st, and we've had some friends sign up for that, and my dad and my sister are signed up, and so it should be a lot of fun. We're going to do it here the same place we did it last year. That'll be July the 31st. And then there was some you may have seen in the Speaking of Zane Facebook group. Really awesome local Tampa television coverage of My Warrior's Place, and a short interview with Kelly and things that she's got going there at My Warrior's Place, and some of the new efforts she's got for the service dog. Um, um, I don't even know what you call it, project or aspect of My Warrior's Place. So interesting stuff there. Great news article. You don't see much good stuff on the news these days, but I enjoyed that. If you want to see that and haven't, go look at the Speaking of Zane Facebook group, and you'll see that. So good stuff there on that front. We did lose some heroes this week. Wow, this was an interesting week. Wow. Um, well, first of all, we lost a local police officer in Holly Springs, Georgia. Holly Springs is in Cherokee County, between here and Zane, where Zane's at. Um, well, police officer Joseph Burson wasn't but 25 years old, I think. Had only been on the force just over a year. And during a traffic stop on Wednesday, the driver decided to speed off with the officer like hanging on or something. I forget. I don't know exactly how it went, but um, the officer was able to his final act on this earth. He was able to get some shots off and um, kill the criminal, and they both crashed and they were both killed. But just a sad thing when you have a local thing like that. It really hits close to home because you know people that knew and you know the person, and just terrible. Holly Springs. Then there were some very interesting um, occurrences, I'll call them, this week. Army Colonel Scott Green was found unresponsive in his office at Fort Leavenworth. Served for over 30 years, I think, 27, 30 years, Ranger. Um, I saw something about him earlier in the week that made me suspect it was a suicide. And when you look at the Army Times or any of the other military things, they don't say that. But I don't know what happened there. And then you had a PFC, Army PFC Asia Graham, a young lady, died of an accidental. Now I don't know how they've determined this. I'm just quoting the article, but this private died of an accidental fentanyl drug mix. Fentanyl, that's the drug that killed Zane. And it turns out that a lot of the deaths that have involved fentanyl um, have had an accidental element to them. Either that it was unknown that that's what they had, or the the strength was so great, um, and that it's a terrible thing. In fact, um, when I found Zane, it never occurred to me to be careful, but there was a needle um, on the ground, and I was down on the ground, and I was trying to revive Zane, and I didn't even think about anything. But some of the fentanyl is so potent that just a prick or even the most minimal amount is can be deadly. But so I don't know the circumstances there. I'm just reading the account. And then two paratroopers at Fort Bragg were found unresponsive in the barracks. Two paratroopers, and drugs are suspected. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. And I wouldn't be surprised if those drugs didn't include fentanyl. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I struggle to even talk, reporting those this week. But I mean, it's life. So anyway, it's crazy. Okay. Well, let's see. Let's move on here. Let me see if I can tell you a little bit about what time is it. Um, we find things at Zane's headstone. Coins and notes and mementos, and it's just I've talked about it even as recently as last week. Lori found that poem, and so it's no surprise when we find things there, and it is comforting knowing that people, visit him and that he's not forgotten. And I was out there today and I noticed something right by the flowers, and it was an envelope. What was this envelope right here? Um, it was down between the headstone and the flowers that Lori had put there, and I thought, well, that's odd. And it had been rain. It rained all day yesterday. Rained terrible, a couple inches of rain, and you can see. I don't know how well you can see, but this had been out in the rain, um, and you can tell it's dry now. But anyway, so I see this, and I pick it up, and I look at it. It's got Lori, Guide, Zane written on it there, and so it's pretty thick. I can tell it's got some stuff in it, and so I said, well, let me go over to the car. Let me go, because sometimes I'll take a lawn chair and I'll just sit out there. But there were so many people today, I just didn't. And so I said, well, I'll go back. Let me go back to the car and I'll see what's in this envelope. So I'm pulling these things out, and I pull out a couple of pictures. More about that in a minute. You've probably seen this picture on the internet. This is what every mother sees when her son is a soldier. You've probably seen that before. That was in there. Then like a Navy recruiting envelope. Like when you were a teenager in high school, and you got these every day. And I'm pulling these things out. And I'm like, what? I mean, what is this? This seems crazy. And on the envelope, it's got on the front there, those are the scales of justice, right? And I'm thinking, my word, somebody serving him a lawsuit or something at at Georgia National. Then on the back, it's got the individual's name, address in Cartersville, Georgia, and then on the envelope, I don't know if you can see. I'll try to. It says Navy SEAL there. Anyway, so I'm thinking, man, this is odd. I'm not making any connections about this at all. And then I find this handwritten letter, and as I open it, just like what just happened, a $2 bill falls out. $2 bill. I assume everybody's seen a $2 bill. They're odd. And I'm thinking, this is weird. I'm not making the connection. I put the $2 bill aside. More about that later. And now my curiosity is like, what is going on here? And this, thick stock paper. Fortunately, very thick stock paper, and this envelope is, shed water. So nothing was damaged on the inside from the rain. It had been raining. But this is about 3 handwritten pages, and I don't know. I feel like I need to read it, and I'll tell you why. It says, "Dear Lori and Guy, as I do many nights when I can't sleep, I find myself sitting here just chilling with Zane. The drive here never seems to take that long. It's the drive home that takes forever. It could be because I always feel pulled in reverse, as if I'd had something left unsaid, or a feeling left incomplete. Maybe that's why I find my pen and paper at nearly the midnight hour writing to you. Although we've never met, the way you both speak so vividly of Zane is exactly how he spoke of you. Old Guy, the problem-solving, unstoppable hero who could speak as if the answer to every obstacle in this world was, why not? You can do it, no problem. His mom, the woman who could make the distance, turmoil, anger, sadness disappear because she was his home. There was an argument you, Mom, had with Zane where he said, I just wanted to be pissed, but she made me laugh, which pissed me off even more. I knew exactly what he meant because my mom does the same thing. Nobody can understand the bond of a mom and her little boy. It's so unique, it's inconceivable. I was blessed with a mom who played dad as well, since my father lives in Italy. Zane is so lucky to have a dad who speaks of him as if he's the only constellation in the sky that matters. The reason I wanted to write this letter is because it's only fair to add another story of how Zane changed lives. So I can only assume, so imagine I'm reading this and I can only assume now that whoever's writing this, has been watching uh, either our our lives on Facebook or Speaking of Zane, and perhaps he is now. And it just interesting. But he says the reason I wanted to write this letter is because I mentioned that. Another story of how Zane changed lives. I apologize if this story becomes vague, but let's see. Okay, he says, yeah, he says, I'm trying to read this. This is small print or small cursive. Okay, here we go. Late one night, after my life had seen what I thought would finally be it, I met Zane. I'd pulled into a gas station with my radiator blowing coolant out of the reservoir, a problem, I had not been able to afford to repair. I had my brother, a fallen Navy SEAL, on my mind. I had never followed through with Buds after he died. I felt like a complete failure. This was only, stick with me, this was only the tip of the iceberg that day. I had about 6 miles till empty, which not even a prayer would have let the reserve tank get me home. I had around $13 in my bank account, which, along with change, I would get some smokes, enough gas to get home, 2 small Red Bull to keep me awake. I had this simple plan. I go in to pay, but my debit card isn't there. I remember Zane being 2 people behind me, must have been in line. I went to the car, furiously searching for my card. I remember putting my hand on the seat, left hand on the lower steering wheel, while kneeling on the door sills. I had wanted a reason to give me the balls to finally end my life. Well, that simple thing put me over the finish line. I was done. I don't remember what made me turn my head, but I saw Zane as I had turned around to go back in the store as if he had forgotten something. I get to my feet, and as I'm going to shut my door, he's walking back out and gives me a closed mouth smile and a nod. I went in to use what quarters and pennies I had for the cashier, who told me, pull over to number 8, you've got $15, and slides me back the cigarettes and the Red Bull I had placed up there earlier. Zane had paid a $20 bill for me and had only gotten $7 for himself in gas. Your son, because of his selfishness that night, kept me from wanting to pull out in front of a semi later on my way home, once I reached an area called Dead Man's Curve on 113. I had it all planned out and believed God didn't want me here, but He did. When I pulled up to the pump, I thanked Zane, struck up a conversation, pulled over to the side to let the car cool to add coolant, and we had to talk for a couple hours. I told him that I had dropped out of law school because I couldn't get a loan. Now that was okay because the military would pay for it. I told him that I told him that it's I don't know the word. I told him that it's annoying, yeah, annoying being small and gay with some of the other guys because they give me even more crap once I show them up. I told him that they only think of me as being gay as hell. His response was, without missing a beat, well, then be as queer as a $2 bill. Go big or go home. And that's where the $2 bill comes in, I guess. And he says that still makes me laugh to think of him saying that. He made friends he made friends because of being nobody other than Zane. I felt like maybe he related to me because he knew what I felt like um, when you stood out without standing out, with the world making no sense as it crashed down around you. I wish I could have been the Zane for Zane and talked to him it's gonna all be good, but I knew how well it can be hidden from those closest to us. With everything I'm having to fight for the military, just to serve my country, I wish I had a friend, a soldier like Zane by my side, because I know he would have fought with me until the job was done. No matter the sweat, the blood, or favors called in, Zane was rare. I thank God for him being there for me. He encouraged me to keep fighting. I never give up, but sometimes you just need to hear someone say it. I know it may not mean much, but I tore off a piece of the first envelope that I received when I decided I was more than good enough to join the Navy. And that was this that I was talking about. Courage from Zane played a huge part in that, even though even though it took me a few minutes to actually do it. He says, I ran the Atlanta 100 challenge for Zane last year. And that's where this thing comes in. He says, it's like a road race, and it's for Stop Soldier Suicide, the Atlanta 100 challenge. And runners accumulate mileage, and they compete. And anyway, he says, I ran the Atlanta 100 challenge for Zane last year. Maybe he was whispering some funny smart-ass comments in my ear or drop kicking me an additional mile here and there, but I kicked ass for Zane. These little legs were hauling butt. Don't ever worry about Zane being forgotten. He touched so many souls and gave life to many he never knew. He did that. His name and memory will never be forgotten. Thank you both for raising Zane to love people for people, because if not, I know I wouldn't be here. It's time for me to get back home and write my waiver request and continue fighting like hell. Geo. Wow, what do you do when you get a letter like that? And what do you do when somebody tells you that the reason that they're alive is because of your son? Amazing. Amazing. By far the most interesting thing that we've had left there at Georgia National Cemetery, but just an amazing story. And if that's not a challenge to be kind to people, I don't know what is. Anyway, it makes you think for sure. But all right, folks. Well, thank you for sticking in here tonight and for joining us for Speaking of Zane this week and every week. And look forward to doing it again next Sunday. Um, and have a great week. Make it count. Reach out to your battle buddies, your shipmates, your wingman. You don't know the difference that you can make